Tego. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ferret 64 podcast with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferret 64 is, of course, the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. And we got a nice, healthy episode for you today. We're going to talk about some things I've been playing this past week. That's right. And also, we got some interesting news articles, and we'll talk about some games coming soon. All right. But first, I usually do this at the end of the episode, but I've been told to maybe push it to the front, which might cause some people to tune out early. I don't know. But if you like this video, please give it a like. If you like this on Spotify, please give it a rating on Spotify out of 5 stars. I would very much appreciate that. Also, if you want to leave a comment, whether it be on Spotify or YouTube, I would appreciate that as well. Let's jump in to what have I been playing this past week. I finally received my copy of Mafia: The Old Country. It was delayed in shipping, and you know me, I never really get things shipped to my house when I want to play them right away. But for some reason, I had The Old Country marked as a delivery. So I got it like 3 days after its launch, which is unfortunate. You know, that's just how it do be sometimes. But I did end up playing a fair amount this week. Not as much as I would have liked to have played. At this point, I feel like I'm barely a quarter of the way through the game. I'm not sure how long it is. I know it's a bit of a shorter experience because it is it's more of like a spin-off game or whatever you want to call it. But so far, it's been very good. They've been setting up a lot of things story-wise throughout the opening of the game, including who the big bads are going to be, and who your love interest is, and what the conflict is going to kind of be throughout the game. Now, I think that the game starts off in a interesting place, some place that you wouldn't really think that it would start in, and they start you as a younger version of your character, of course, working inside of like a sulfur mine, and you have like a whole chapter where you're going through the sulfur mine, you're trying not to die. And you also learn the basics of the knife combat, and it's actually very interesting that the knife combat is a integral part to the game. And that includes slashing, stabbing, power striking, parrying, and dodging. And I feel like this part of the game is quite fun. It's a bit of a cat and mouse type thing, or a rock, paper, scissors maybe at some times. I've been in a couple of these knife fights now, and they all are pretty entertaining, even though they don't really change up too much, at least not so far. They've been fun to do, and I enjoy them when they come up and they come around. I feel like it'll probably be something that they keep using throughout the game. It seems. I mean, I don't. I mean, look, I might be from, my family, not me personally, but my family is from Italy. We moved over to the Americas. I believe it was about like right after World War One. And. Like I don't know. I'm pretty separated from that culture in terms of like the history, and I don't know if it would actually go down the way that it does in the game here, where you meet up with a guy who like is your rival, and you're like you pull out your switchblade, you're like, fight me like a man or whatever, and he's holding like a shotgun, and he's like, you know what? He throws the shotgun down and goes, I will, and he pulls out the switchblade of his own. I don't know if that whole thing would actually happen, but it's cool nonetheless. I feel like if I was holding the double-barreled shotgun, I don't feel like there's any reason for me to pull out a switchblade, but I digress. It is it's a very cinematic game. It's a very breathtaking game at times. There are these nice vistas that you look out upon. At one point, you're going through a like this old ruins of like Roman culture, and you're like driving around them, and then you get to fight through them, and then you gotta race and trail someone who stole somebody or kidnapped them. Why did I say stole? Kidnapped somebody. So you're going through the ruins on a horseback now, and eventually it turns into countryside. And I just thought that was a cool progression of a level. I think that they did a good job of keeping these levels moving and not so much like just all expedition dumps. There are things happening during these levels. So pretty much from the start of the game, you get acquainted with your character, you get acquainted with the knife combat, and then they slowly add things on after that, including the stealth of the game, which is pretty fun as well. The gunplay of the game gets mixed in there, and then the overall like driving mechanics, not just horseback riding, but driving mechanics are introduced as well after that. I don't know how much more the game will have to offer in terms of hidden tutorials, but I think that they've done a good job at easing you into each of these things, and it kind of like each chapter kind of has like a shining moment for each of these things. So for the one that I was talking about with horseback riding, there's like a whole race that you do. It's kind of impossible to lose the race. I didn't try to lose, but it feels like it's more of a scripted type thing. So, they teach you the ins and outs of horseback riding, where it's like, okay, you press forward on the joystick and you press X or whatever to boost every so often, and that's kind of like the whole thing. So, there's not much going there, but they give you an entire section to kind of get the feel for the controls, and then they give you horseback riding for a large part of the next part of the game. You might be wondering, is it an open world? Do you explore an open area? And there are these vast open spaces, and I feel like they did design them to be open world-ish. And I'm pretty sure you can go back through and ride around the areas. But the game is very linear so far, at least. I haven't gotten to a point where I could do free roam or I could do blah blah blah, and I don't know if I ever will. They might not unlock that stuff until the game is over, and if they even have open world stuff in there. It just feels like they meticulously designed these areas to be linear, and I'm not upset about that. I actually really like a more toned down game like this, because there are so many games coming out and so many games that will come out that have these massive 60-hour open worlds. It's nice to have a game that knows what it wants to do, and it does it pretty well, and you have a fun story mixed in with the gameplay. So yes, I don't mind it being a more linear experience, at least not at this point that I'm playing, and I wouldn't be surprised if they added in some open stuff too. But I'm enjoying the game, and that's all that really matters to me right now. I do enjoy most of the Mafia games. I've played 2 out of the 3 that came out. I never played 2, which is I never played 2. I played the first game, and I played Mafia 3. And Mafia 1, the remaster wasn't really my favorite thing ever, but I do like the original game. And Mafia 3 is fine. I think there's too much to do, in my opinion, in that game. And I feel like the cinematic nature of it kind of goes away once you beat like the first crime boss. You like hang him on a Ferris wheel or whatever. And after that, there really wasn't anything cinematic about the game. It was more so like a checklist you had to get done. So even though I like the premise and I like the overall open world, I feel like Mafia 3 was just okay. I never got around to finishing the entire thing, but I got pretty close. But Mafia: The Old Country is a nice breath of fresh air in this current gaming landscape, where every game is trying to be the next 120-hour epic, and not all of them can be epic. Not all of them can be Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Not all of them can be your Death Stranding 2s. Not all of them can be that way. And it's nice to see a game that is more, story centered, focusing on the finer details, getting down a beautiful world to look at, and a nice adventure to have. So yeah, I'm gonna keep playing it, and I might finish it this coming week. We'll see. I have a pretty busy schedule with gaming right now. I'm still trying to get through Donkey Kong. I mean, that's the wrong thing to say. I'm still playing Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm not trying to get through it like, oh, I'm sludging through it. No, no, no. That's not what I meant. I think I'm pretty close to the end. Callus confirmed that for me. Um, so actually, I'll probably try and beat Donkey Kong Bonanza either this weekend or this week, and then I'll probably play Mafia the Old Country here and there. Taking a bit of a break from Death Stranding 2 for the moment because the Battlefield 6 beta is out, and let's talk about that next. Usually on the weekend is when I play the most multiplayer. So I was also playing a lot of Death Stranding 2, like in the morning, on like a Saturday morning or Sunday, and just kind of playing it throughout the day. But this weekend was the Battlefield 6 beta Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, and they added in the Rush mode into the game, along with a couple other playlists as well. They also added in a new set of challenges to complete, and I'm only 2 challenges away from getting those done. I just got to capture a couple more flags in Conquest, and I got to go through a couple more sections of Breakthrough and Rush. So hopefully I'll be able to get those done by the end of the day, because I really want all the things that they have to offer. I got everything from week 1 done, and I got most of the things from week 2 done. So yeah, I just want to play. I just want to play as much of this game as I possibly can right now, because it's gonna be what? It's gonna be like about a month or so before we can actually get our hands on the full experience, and it's gonna be a long time waiting, because I am enjoying Battlefield 6 so much right now. I feel like it is just, it's just so good. Okay, like I enjoyed Black Ops 6. Don't get me wrong, but that game has run its course, and they've started adding in things to the game that I am not enjoying. And so Battlefield 6 comes around at the perfect time to be like, hey, here's your more grounded on the boots, grandiose scale type first person shooter. Go on, play it. And I have been playing it quite a lot. Um I mean, where do I start now? So last week I talked a lot about the game, and in terms of the stuff I talked about last week, there's not much new to add on to that, other than the fact that they added in a couple different maps this week to try out. One of them is the Brooklyn-inspired map, where you play in like the downtown of New York, and it's only for the domination game mode, so they give you like a little snippet of the map, and that map is excellent. I'm really excited to play the full blown version of that map. For the conquest and breakout modes, they added one new map for all of that. It's kind of like a partially underground type thing going on. Kind of reminded me of Metro a little bit, where you have some underground sections, you have them above the ground sections. I thought it was pretty good. Um, Adding in the rush mode was great. I enjoy rush mode a lot. It's a bit of a, so it's not as grandiose of a scale as the conquest mode, but it still has like vehicles and stuff in it to help the teams on either side protect or attack the objectives. And there's a lot of strategy involved in there, because the attackers only have 75 tickets and the defenders have unlimited. So you kind of have a lot of strategy in there on how you want to attack the objective and when to plant the bombs. Like sometimes there's going to be a huge, like let's say all your team is attacking on the A objective, and a lot of enemy troops are also going that way to help mitigate that. Sneak around, plant the objective on B, get them distracted, and then you get both objectives at the same time. Sometimes it works out that way. Sometimes it do work out that way. So, all in all, my overall thoughts, because I won't be talking about this next week, my overall thoughts of the Battlefield 6 beta is 2 thumbs up. I very much enjoyed this beta, and if the beta is anything to go off of for the main game, which I do believe it is, we're in for a real treat when the full experience launches. On top of the multiplayer, we're getting the campaign mode, which I am interested in playing, and then we're also getting that Battlefield Portal mode back, which probably will give us content for the rest of its days. I'm hoping that they go with the 2042 route, where they do a bunch of free updates for the game, adding in more maps and adding in possibly more game modes. As of right now, I feel like the package as a whole is worth the price tag, in my opinion. Um, I know we haven't seen the campaign or the portal mode yet, but just the multiplayer mode in itself is has been worth it so far. And they're adding in those other things on top of that to spice it up a bit, right? I think that people are going to always be a bit critical of Battlefield 4 2042, which, in my opinion, isn't even the worst Battlefield, and in my opinion, isn't even that bad of a game. It's just like a decent Battlefield game. It's not. I don't feel like it's bad at all, especially after they went through all its updates. And I mean, I wouldn't have gotten max rank on it last year if I wasn't enjoying it, right? Like that. That's the thing. I feel like a lot of people are going to just automatically be like, "Oh, Battlefield had a bad game, so I'm not going to support it anymore." But like I mentioned last week, like it's really one bad game in a catalog of excellent titles. In my opinion, there's really just like one bad Battlefield game, and the rest of them range from decent to really good, some of the best of all time. I forgot to mention Battlefield Vietnam last week, which is a big whoopsie by me, and that's also another one that I enjoyed when I was a kid. I didn't play as much of it as Battlefield Bad Company 2 or 1942, but I very much enjoyed that one. There was also the multiplayer, like, 3-map spinoff for Battlefield 1945, which I also found very good. It just had a graphical update, and it was also modern at the time for the 360 and PS3. So, I didn't mind that game. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I guess I just don't understand why people are so ready to immediately hate on this game. And now that the beta has run its course, I feel like a lot of people have either A, changed their tune, or B, if they haven't played it, are just kind of like stewing for some reason, stewing on the last game. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed 2042, and I think I'm going to very much enjoy Battlefield 6. With it being a beta, there's a few things that were a little bit weird about it. One, the shadows glitched out a couple times for me while playing. And it might be because of the rush mode. I feel like it only happened in rush mode, but there was something weird going on with the shadows. Like, it would just kind of like wig out for like a second or two and then be back to normal. So I don't know what that's all about. And then two, the ragdoll physics are kind of crazy at times. Like, you'll shoot a guy in the head and he'll just zoom, like float, like fly up into the air. So I think they need to tone down the ragdoll a little bit. Maybe there's like a specific point that that the person is being hit that's causing them to do that. I don't know, but it's pretty amusing when it does happen. But it's also a bit immersion breaking. I can't have that in my Battlefield game. Greedy Waffles was having a problem on PC where it wasn't letting him spawn in. I didn't have that problem on the PS5, so it might be a PC thing. So let me know if you had that problem. And if not, maybe it's just something going on with his PC. I don't know. But I didn't have that problem, so I couldn't help him with it at all. I just wanted to mention that to get it all out there, though. You know me, I'm an honest person on this podcast. I don't bullshit around. If there's a criticism about the game, I will bring it to y'all's attention. All right. Anyway, Battlefield 6 is going to be a long wait, but it'll be worth it. So let's go ahead and just get those pre-orders rolling in. No, I'm kidding. This is if you don't want to pre-order, that's fine. But I'm excited. So let's move on. Next up, I platinumed Elden Ring Nightreign. I know, after my final thoughts on it a couple weeks ago, I felt like I was kind of done with the game, and I didn't know if I really wanted to do the Platinum Trophy on it. But by the time that we finished doing the first purple boss fight that we've completed, which was that augur purple boss fight, and I got the trophy for doing 3 boss fights in a row. I was like, well, it's really not that bad to finish up these other trophies on here. Definitely the most time consuming one was the one beating a boss with every character. And that was only time consuming because you kind of had to relearn. You had to learn a new character, and I was kind of, I was switching between the Guardian and the Raider a lot, so I kind of wasn't in practice with the other characters that I hadn't used yet. But the nice thing is that I already had beaten it with the Raider, the Iron Eye, the Guardian, and the Executor. So, or the Executor. I'm sorry, the Executor. And I was that's like more than that's like halfway through the list. So, only had to maybe learn a little bit about 2 other characters, and I was good to go because the Wilder's pretty, he's pretty basic. He's pretty easy to learn, and I felt like the Duchess is pretty fun, so that was also very easy to learn. The 2 characters who were the hardest were, of course, the Recluse and the Revenant. Um, but that's only because I hadn't played as them. And I was kind of, well, I mean, I played as the Recluse a little bit, but I didn't really play a lot. And I'm not a huge magic user in these games, especially in like the Souls-like genre. So, it was a bit of a daunting task, I suppose. But once you learn the Recluse, she's not too bad, especially when you're in a group of like 3 people. I feel like trying to solo with that character might be a bit more difficult simply because it is a magic build and you kind of only have a one-hit a possibility on the character. But as Callus mentioned to me when I was learning the character, if you do your triangle plus L1 ability, she'll like do this thing where she grabs the magic and puts it back inside her, and it will fill up your FP bar. And that was one of the things that was a bit daunting, was like, okay, how am I going to fill up this FP bar? I'm just using spells after spell to kill characters. I'm already halfway done with my health bar, or I'm sorry, FP bar. But you can do that to get your FP back, and then of course after you do it enough times, you do a big magic explosion. And the spells in the game are quite crazy sometimes. When I did my victory lap with the character, I had a spell that transformed into the moon, and then it shot out, and it did like tons of damage. Like it was like a good chunk of the boss's health bar. I was very surprised. And then there was another one which was the Elden Ring like star attack that the Elden Beast did in the game, and that one also was very damaging. I was very surprised at that. So we got the victory there, which that was the last character I needed. I had done the Revenant before that, and she was actually not as difficult as I was expecting either, because once again, as Callus seemed to be the magic guy for our runs here, so he kind of learned the ins and outs of both of those characters, and he was like, "Yeah, just keep the claws. The claws are good enough, and then just use, magic if you can." And also make sure that you keep summoning your little allies, and that was a really good tactic, and it worked out just fine. So I feel like every character in the game is viable. Now that I've played every character and know every character, I can say that confidently, that every character in the game is viable to use. Maybe not all of them are fun to use solo, but a lot of them can be, of course, do solo. I've actually beaten a couple bosses now solo. I beat the Gaping Jaw and the Wolf boss solo so far, and I've been using the Raider to do that. The Raider is just kind of like my favorite guy. Like that's my build in Elden Ring, is just big bonk weapons and just go ham. Um, but I've also used the Iron Eye to beat the Gaping Jaw solo as well, and he has that really good marking attack, which makes you invulnerable for the time that you're doing it. Plus, you can upgrade to have 2 of them in a row, so if a grab attack's coming or whatever, you can slide past the boss without it getting you. And also, those marks give like double damage or something like that for your hits, so it's just one of those things where knowing the characters is, of course, a big step in getting the wins, but you don't have to be super crazy good with the characters to get a win either. Like you can be playing as the Recluse and not really. I mean, you need to know at least kind of what you're doing, but you don't have to be you just need to be competent. You don't need to be a pro, and you can get a win with a good team. So that was like the one hurdle to get over. All the other trophies were pretty straightforward. One of the random ones was the oldest jail, which was fighting the Godskin duo in one of those little. You open them up with a swordstone key, and that was like a random occurrence. We've only had that encounter once in the game, and I don't know, like maybe it's a specific jail that shows up ever so often. I don't know. But we got very lucky during the first time we attempted a purple Everdark boss. It was the I forget which one it was. I think it was the Gaping Maw Jaw one. The first time they released it, and the first ever jail that we did was the oldest jail, and we beat it. And I was like, that was crazy. And we got a trophy for it and everything. I was like, damn, what the fuck? But we haven't gotten it since, which is just kind of crazy. So the drop rate on that must be very low. Either that or we just been very unlucky not to get it, because that one gives you a lot of experience. The other trophies that were a bit more involved were the ones for each of the special occurrences on the map. So you had the crater, you had the city, you have the rotting forest, and you have the snowy mountain peak. And you need to do an objective on each of those to get the trophy for each one. Sometimes you need to beat a boss, you got to pick up an item, etc. The hardest one was definitely the city, because that boss was not fun to beat. But each of those things give you something good. You definitely want to do the mountain peak one when you have the dragon boss equipped and stuff like that. So, those were interesting. Those are definitely interesting. The only other one that I quote unquote struggled with, but not really, was the one getting like high rarity items in your inventory. The only reason that one was more difficult was because we didn't understand it when we first started trying to get it. So like we had 4 golden weapons on us at one point, and I was like, why is this trophy not popping? Like 4 golden weapons seems enough. But not only do you need to have purple and higher rarity weapons on you, you also need to fill out your entire usable slots, and you need to have 2 charms on. So that's, eventually I got it during like my solo run, because I was just kind of like, I guess I'll try and get all these weapons. I mean, it might be a little bit more difficult, but I did it, and I popped the platinum trophy on that one. The rest of the trophies are just beating the bosses and unlocking the secret characters, and you're good to go. So really, I mean, in general, even though the game started off in a difficult place and we were struggling to get past the gaping jaw and the wolves, right? By the time we got to the end, we've been doing pretty good. I mean, we've beaten 2 of the purple bosses now, and we consistently are beating the main bosses in the game. Now, obviously, there's some bosses that we tend to ignore, the Madness Goat being one of them. But there's a lot of bosses that are still fun to fight, including the centaur type guy. I forget his name right now for some reason. The centaur type guy, the gaping jaw, even the pest is pretty fun to fight. The only boss that I really wouldn't want to go back and fight is the augur, because that fight is just so annoying with it floating around all the time. And we did the purple version of that fight, so now we don't need to do it at all ever again. But yeah, Nightreign's Platinum is not too bad. If you're someone who is at least competent at Souls games, you should be able to get through it, no problem. Especially if you find a good team of people to play it with, which I did. So shout out to Greedy Waffles and Just Callus for being for joining me in the Reign of Night. And they also got the Platinum Trophy, too. That actually happened on Saturday. So, GG's to them as well. I want to talk a little bit about Pokemon TCG Pocket. I know it's been a minute since I've talked about that, but I've been playing a lot of it. And the reason for that is I've been doing the Master Ball stuff, the ranked mode stuff. And I just wanted to give some thoughts, because I've been a bit annoyed with the game recently. So I still enjoy the game. I think drop rates are completely ass for card packs right now. They up the rates for drops in the first couple days of the packs being out, and then they tank them afterwards. I can almost guarantee that. Also, it's very annoying that I keep getting the same full art cards over and over again. I have gotten Honchkrow and freaking Chikorita full art like 4 times, and I still have tons of missing spots on just the regular like 4 diamond, even 3 diamond cards, and it's so fucking annoying to me that I can't get these stupid regular cards, but I can get these fucking full arts over and over and over again. I just feel like they need to tweak the drop rates a little bit. Like, once you get a card, maybe drop the rate by like a few percentages and then drop it really even more after you get it a second time. Because really, most people only want the card once if they're doing a collection. And two, they only want it twice if they're making a deck with that card. So I feel like having myself get 5 fucking full art Chikoritas is not going to be good for any deck because you only use 2. And I can't trade them until after the packs have run their course. So even though I can use those for trading later, right now it's like I just want to complete the base set. Like, give me the 3 and 4 diamond cards. Like, is it really that hard to just give me those? Like, I just don't understand. I still have some missing 4 diamond cards like Togekiss. I don't have Togekiss for some reason. I don't have Steelix for some reason. Like, these are general regular cards from these packs. It just annoys me so much. So either I'll have to go back through and buy them with the pack points, or I'll have to trade with people eventually down the road to get those regular sets completed. And I go back through and I try and go to like older packs. Sometimes the drop rates are higher on those packs at times, and you'll get a few things here or there. But I just feel like because there was actually an article that came out about this. I feel like they do need to tweak those drop rates, make them a little bit higher for like older packs. One, and when you get a card, drop the drop rate for that one and up the drop rates for cards you haven't gotten yet, because it's very annoying to only have like one EX card remaining that you need to get, and you just cannot get it. You get all the other EX cards over and over again, but you just can't get the one EX card. And I don't know if they designed that way to incentivize you to do wonder picks and or trade with people, but either way, it's annoying. Either way, it is very annoying. Now, as I said, I've been doing ranked matches. I've built a deck that is I can usually win in about 3 turns. Sometimes 4 if things don't go my way. Sometimes 2 turns if I get a very good first opening hand. This is not the way that I wanted to play the game, though. I built an electric deck around Alolan Raichu and Tapu Koko that was very good, and I loved playing with it. I didn't win every single time, but I won consistently enough, and I was like, this is a fun deck to use. The meta changed. Oh boy, did the meta change 2 or 3 packs ago when they introduced the Ultra Beasts. Oh boy, did it change. So now, because it took me a little while to generate enough energy to actually have the attacks go off for my Alolan Raichu, it kind of made the deck unplayable in a ranked sense because I could not generate energy fast enough, and thus I would be defeated by the new tactics that were going on with these Ultra Beasts. So I changed it up. I changed it up a lot, actually. I was using a the owl boy. What the fuck is his name? Rowlet. I was using a Rowlet deck with a character that like a Caterpie or whatever, or the Springado that could call forth other grass type Pokemon. Then I changed that a little bit to have the Ultra Beast in my not the Ultra Beast, but there's a Pokemon that could do 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. And then because Dulcich is the final evolution of Rowlet, he could actually do 100 damage to any Pokemon with damage on it, either whether it be on their bench or in play. So that was a good tactics. Then I started running into these people who built decks around pretty basic Pokemon in all honesty, but they were like it was like a Crobat deck where it only required 1 energy and it would do 80 damage and it would poison your opponent's Pokemon, and that would kill almost anything instantly. And I was running into that more and more. And then there was another one that was it could do like 50 damage randomly to each of your Pokemon, and that was also a death sentence in only a couple of matches. So I adjusted my tactics and I built a new metal deck that I felt like could fight against these people. So it was a Dialga EX with the Metal in the backfield so I could just have like a Pokemon that did a high amount of damage and this EX Pokemon that could supply them with energy. The problem is that I would have to spend 2 energy to get the Dialga EX to start doing my tactic of getting energy onto the other Pokemon. So that was also too long. It would take too long for me to do that. By the time that I got enough energy put onto the Melmetal in the backfield, my Dialga EX would be dead or would be one hit away from death. So I was starting to lose more and more because these people, they would get their big Pokemon out and they would just start attacking Dialga EX really quickly. So I did it. I was like, you know what? If you're going to play this dirty, dirty fucking game, I will play the dirty, dirty fucking game with you. And I was on Great Ball level 2, which is not very high in the rankings. And I was like, I was losing consistently enough that I would go my meter that was, you have like this meter that goes higher and higher to get to the next rank. It would go from like one more match to win to halfway depleted because I just kept losing and losing and losing to these other decks. So what I did, and I'm not proud of it, but it works, I made a Macargo deck. And if you don't know, this is a deck where you only need 4 Pokemon in your deck, and the rest can be healing or whatever. You get Macargo and the evolution of that, and the evolution can do 50 damage randomly to any Pokemon on the field. So if your opponent only has 1 Pokemon on the field, and you only have 1 Pokemon on your field, and you can't hurt yourself, you do 150 damage to that 1 Pokemon, it gets destroyed on the second turn, you win automatically because your opponent doesn't have anything on the bench. Or maybe your opponent does have something on the bench, but it's like a cheapo Pokemon, like a Pichu or something like that. You can take them out right away, plus the usually the Pokemon that's in their play spot. So I just filled my deck with cards that allow me to, 1, draw Macargo and its evolution, and then 2, heal up. Because when you only have, technically you have 2 Pokemon in your deck, it's very risky to run that way because if the Pokemon gets destroyed, you lose automatically without something on your bench. So when I know that like the next turn is going to just my Macargo is going to be knocked out, I'll put another one on the bench and hope that my Pokemon doesn't attack it because it is random, any Pokemon on the field besides itself. But at the end of the day, I think I'm on like a 7 win streak right now, and I am in Master Ball rank 4, and I'm working my way through that now. I think that 4 is the final one, but I'm not quite sure about that. But yeah, I've been working my way through that, and I've been winning pretty consistently almost every single time now, whether it be against the Crobat deck, whether it be against the Ultra Beast deck, whether it be against those legendary Pokemon decks, which are still popping up. I still hate that shit. They use Darkrai and the fucking Skyscraper Pokemon, and it's like, this is like now it's just annoying because I know how it's such an easy win for me at this point because it takes them so long to set up their fucking playing field. So it's just more annoying when it happens because it's like, okay, here we go. Yeah. The decks with Eevee and the Eeveelutions do tend to give me a little bit more trouble because the Eevees can give high card draws or high damage with minimal energy on them. But so far, I've been doing okay. So there are still some things I find annoying with the Pokemon TCG Pocket app, but in general, it's still a fun time. It's not like I stopped playing it. Like, I'm still very much into it and very much playing it. So just wanted to give an update there and talk about that because that has been on my mind recently. The only other thing I would like to mention is Dragonite EX is a bullshit card, and this is why. It has a 180 power attack, and once it does that attack, it can't attack the next turn. It's written on the card that it cannot attack the next turn. If you put it on your bench, so retreat it, and then if you have another card that's like, okay, move a bench Pokemon to the play position, it can literally attack in the next turn. And I find that so annoying because it kind of goes against what the card says. It says that it can't attack the next turn. It doesn't say that it can't attack unless you put it on your bench, right? It just says it can't attack the next turn. I know this is probably just an app design thing where it's like, well, really can't get around it because it's how the app's designed. But I feel like any Pokemon that has that term on it should keep that can't attack next turn until the next turn. Just my opinion. I've lost to that Dragonite EX a couple times now, and it's been very annoying because there's this tactic that people use where they retreat it, but because they have the Ho-Oh, or is it Ho-Ho? Whatever, there's a card that can generate lightning and water for a Pokemon, but because they have that in play and they use it on a couple other Pokemon on their bench while you're trying to take it out, they can retreat the Ho-Oh, put the Dragonite EX in, attack with that. Next turn, they retreat the Dragonite EX. They then use a card to put the Dragonite onto their playing field automatically without having to waste any energy. Then they use the magic wand or whatever it's called that moves all energy from one Pokemon to your in play Pokemon. Then they can attack again. I don't know. Just it seems wrong to me. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It just seems a bit wrong in my opinion. Okay. Anywho, I also played and beat 007 Tomorrow Never Dies on the PS1. It's unfathomable to me that this game came out after 007 GoldenEye, and I'm not a big 007 GoldenEye fan unless it's on the Xbox Game Pass version, the modern day controls. I was never a big fan of GoldenEye, but I would rather play GoldenEye on the N64 7 times before I play Tomorrow Never Dies again. I mean, it's not like that terrible of a game. It's just very annoying to control. The level design is okay, but I just felt like it was a real step back from even what 007 GoldenEye was. um, and it's unfortunate because I went into the game with minimal knowledge about it, and I was hoping that was just going to be like a fun, straightforward 007 game. And even though it was pretty straightforward, it was very, very annoying. The lock-on system is automatic, and if you free aim, it just leaves you open for so freaking long. And so, like, you're trying to take out an enemy that's right in front of you, and for some reason, James Bond just won't lock onto them. So now you're getting hit for like half your health, and you need to use like 3 health kits because you just couldn't lock on to the character for some reason. And then the other thing was the fog in the game is egregious. It is so bad. It's like 3 steps in front of you, and you can start getting hit by people who are in the fog. So it's like even more annoying, which was a problem that I had with GoldenEye as well. But it was really just in that jungle level where the enemies were like all the way in the distance. But anyway, Tomorrow Never Dies. I never saw the movie. This game does not make me want to watch the movie per se, but I guess the game was at least fine. Like, I don't know. I had a lot of annoyances with it, and I also had to. I did turn on cheats for like unlimited ammo. Essentially, you can have unlimited medkits and unlimited ammo. I decided to do that because there was no way I was going to get through this game with the only 4 health packs in your inventory system, especially when those boss fights came around. They were fucking ridiculous. Also, if you die in the game, you started back from the beginning of the level, which I was not going to do. And then also, the other thing about the game, which also made me want to do the unlimited med packs thing, was the fact that if you finish a level with 1 life left and you die in the next level and you have to have a game over, it'll start you from that last save point before you started the level with only 1 life. So now you're going through the game with 1 life until you collect more, and you're probably going to die throughout a level. It's just going to happen. So that was another thing that I found very annoying, was the fact that they didn't allow you to get your lives back when you do a game over. Like, you should have 3 lives. That's all I'm saying. You should have 3 lives once you do a game over. That's all I'm saying. So, at the end of the day, I don't even remember what I gave this game. I gave it a 2 out of 5. Just like kind of a game that you maybe want to avoid, in my opinion. But yeah, whatever. And then we also played and finished BioShock Infinite. Now, this was a replay for me. I haven't played the game since I platinumed it back when the remastered version came out in the past. Yeah, I mean, BioShock Infinite, it's a great game. Like, I enjoy it very much. Now, I know that there's some criticism about it for there's an original version of the game that never came to light because it got changed so much. Like, I get it. Like, sure, maybe that other version of the game would have been better. I'm not sure because we don't have that version of the game. But what we do have, what version of the game we do have, is still great. Like, there's great world building, a great story in there, fun gunplay, using your vigors to, take out enemies and help you in battle. Like, it all works really well. There's a interesting the mechanic with Elizabeth where she can call in like things from the other dimensions or whatever multiverses is cool too. And it really changes up the formula of the gameplay throughout the game. Now there are some story beats that I don't enjoy in the game, and I do feel like there's one section in particular that just really irks me, which is the one where you're fighting Lady Comstock's ghost. And there's also another section where you're going through like the future timeline where Elizabeth has taken over Comstock's place, and that whole section is just kind of like, it's just not great in my opinion. I mean, it's fine, don't get me wrong, like it's okay, but I always find that section to be a bit like, okay, we're getting a bit of a run around with the Lady Comstock stuff, and then the next section is the part where Elizabeth, you're in like the future, and it's just like, okay, well, it's fine. But for the most part, I think the game is generally a good time. Really, the only ability that I used was the bucking bronco this time around. Like when you're not trying to get trophies, or you're not like doing your first play through the game, you don't know what these various vigors do. It's one of those things where, it's like I just like you just use whatever one you get, right? You're gonna use the undertow or the bucking bronco or the whatever. But for my playthrough of the game, it started out with me going, "Oh, I love the murder of crows," but I didn't really use it too much because once you get bucking bronco, it's like a better version of murder of crows. So you use bucking bronco and it lifts the enemies up in the air. They can't even do anything, and you shoot them for extra damage. With the murder of crows, it just stuns the enemy. They take a little bit of damage, but it just kind of stuns the enemy where they're standing, which is not the best thing. So essentially, when I was going through the game, it was mostly possession and bucking bronco, and I switched out for the return the sender sometimes to have the ability to block bullets with it. So in general, even though I like most of the vigors that are in the game, I really would only stick to bucking bronco and possession throughout my time playing it this time around, because I've already been through the game multiple times. I know what works, I know what doesn't work. And even though you can combine the different abilities to make explosions and stuff like that happen, I just, once you have a person in the air, just shooting them a couple times and it's just the easiest thing ever. So, I mean, none of that's going to be a detriment to the experience, but just having played this game a couple times already, and it's been a little while since I played it, but it's still pretty fresh in my mind, so, it's one of those things where it's like, it was a good playthrough. I'll probably play through the DLC at some point on the stream as well, maybe for Halloween or something like that, it was fun. I enjoyed my time with it. I stick with a 4 out of 5 for this game. I think it's really good. Probably my favorite BioShock game, even though I really do like BioShock 2. It is probably my favorite one, though, because I think the BioShock Infinite setting of it being like a city in the clouds and all this stuff, like this weird dystopian, kind of still segregated like town in the sky, is an interesting concept. And then having like that Vox Populi like fighting back against these racists, I guess you could say, is a cool dynamic, especially because when you go to BioShock 1, it's already deteriorated and everything's already fucked up. BioShock 2, same thing. You really don't see the world of Rapture before everything happened. But with BioShock Infinite, you can actually see in real time, the war starting to happen between the Vox Populi and the people of Colombia, and you can kind of see like the cracks in this like what's supposed to be like a beautiful city. You can see the cracks starting to form, and it's just a cool evolution of the gameplay of the game as you go farther into it. Just it just becomes more and more clear that this place was never going to work. BioShock Infinite, definitely worth a playthrough. Touches on some really interesting subjects in there. Also some uncomfortable subjects as well if you want to get a bit of a trigger warning, I guess, in there as well. But BioShock Infinite, still a pretty good game. Still a very enjoyable game. Okay, let's move on to what's in the news. All right, Roblox is being sued by Louisiana AG. And this is over child safety, which is actually been something that I've been looking into recently because on stream, sometimes you get like a news headline sent to you while you're streaming. It's like, oh, that's an interesting new headline. So D&D Lucy in my stream was like, hey, Roblox is being sued by Louisiana. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Obviously when you're streaming, you can't look into something like right away, especially when you're playing a game. So I was kind of like yammering on, like, oh, it's a T-rated game. Like, what are they afraid for like a child playing a T-rated game? Blah 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 blah. It's more of a parent's role to stop them from playing games like that, especially if they're M-rated. But what it actually ended up being, and Megaldoor, who is also another chatter in the stream, who is a bit more well versed on this stuff, actually spoke up and was like, this is actually about child safety, and Roblox is a breeding ground for predators and pedophiles. And that definitely caught my attention. So I looked into it. They sent me a couple videos. I watched a couple of those. And it does seem to be a pretty big problem on the scene. Now, even though Roblox has responded and said, hey, we have like 40, over the past year, we've had 40 new safety measures in place and blah, 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 blah. But if you get the real story behind it, like, well, even though you're like banning several Discords and you're taking down several games from the store, like there are still tons and tons and tons of these essentially grooming mini games built into Roblox, where it's like predators and people can hang out and allure children into these games and then groom them and invite them to their discords and groom them there. It's a very disturbing and disgusting thing to think about. But it is something that is happening in the world of Roblox. And if you are a person with children who play Roblox, I think at this point it would be a very good idea to really monitor what games they're playing inside of Roblox, who they're talking to inside of Roblox, because I mean this has been a problem since all the way back in the day when AOL and AIM was the biggest platforms, right? You never know the true age of something you're talking to. So a predator could go out onto a Roblox site and or a Roblox game and say, hey, I love this Discord that I'm in, or I love playing this game, and your kid or whoever might not know who they are or how old they are, but they go, oh, I want to play this really fun sounding game, and they go there and it's like a strip club or it's like a grooming station, right? And they don't know any better because they're kids. They're like 8 and 10 years old. Like they don't know any better. So these various Discord servers, they do eventually get taken down once they're outed. But the problem is that they're only outed by certain YouTubers and third parties. It's not Roblox themselves doing the groundwork. It's not Discord themselves doing the groundwork. It's these third parties who are playing detective essentially, and they're rooting out these terrible places and showing what they have to Roblox and Discord and higher powers. So there's a step missing here. It shouldn't be the people's initiative to take down these disturbing and predatory places. It should be Roblox and Discord themselves who are taking action and seeing what's happening in these Discords and taking them down. And actually, I believe Roblox was the one who, or maybe it was Discord, who dissuaded one of the more major people who were taking down these things. They were saying like, hey, stop doing this, like we need to take care of this ourselves. But it's like, well, when you're taking care of it yourselves, the problem just manifests and becomes worse. It's actually gotten so bad that Chris Hansen, yes, you know him, the predator, the predator catcher himself, is going to team up with the person who was given a cease and desist order by Roblox to take down even more of these malicious, predatory Roblox games and sites and Discords. So we're in a whole new world right now. Like, that's the thing. When I think of Discord, I always think of like a fun place. You chat with people, you have fun interactions. I'm not a part of any. I'm a part of a couple of public Discords, but they're for creators that I enjoy. Like Jimmy here and stuff like that. Like I'm in their Discords because it's just fun to be there. And maybe suggest a video or talk to the creator. Ren's Reviews. He runs a Discord. He chats in there a lot. So it's just fun to kind of interact with them a little bit, pick their brain here and there. So I'm not really a part of any major public discords or anything like that. So I don't really have the full Discord experience, I suppose. But for the most part, like when I go to Discord, it's like, oh, it's a fun time. I never really thought of it being a place where you could set up like a whole server for this crazy deranged shit. So I think that Discord and Roblox definitely need to take more of an initiative. Obviously, it's not enough right now, and with them being sued by Louisiana, this means that a lot of things could be opened here. They could um, do searches of Discord DMs and various files. Like Discord saves all of your messages. Like even if you delete your comments to someone, Discord always has those. So you can subpoena Discord to release the DMs. You can subpoena Roblox to show the all the chat messages from a server in a day, whatever, right? So all this stuff can be found. And it's all forever in these places. And if Roblox or Discord deletes any of those things, it pretty much villainizes them even more if they're trying to hide this stuff. Now, like I said, Roblox did respond and say, hey, we have over 40 new features to protect our youngest users and blah, 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 blah. Children under 13 are not allowed on the site, and et cetera, et cetera. So my main thing, and I think I already mentioned this already, is that it's really up to the parents to decide, should my kid be playing Roblox? It's a T-rated game, as we looked up on stream. So it really is up to the parents to be like, hey, you can't play this game if you're 13 or under, right? My parents in general stopped me from playing a lot of T-rated games back in the day. My first T-rated game was Vigilante 8, and I think I was about 12 years old when I got that. And from there, it was like, okay, well now you can't play M-rated games. But when I got to 17, I bought Gears of War 2, and I remember posting on Facebook like, bought my first M-rated game, and I showed it, and my mom was like, oh, I hope you don't play that too much. But I think parents who have more of an active role in their kids' lives, especially in the gaming landscape, they're able to talk to them about what they're seeing and what's going on, right? My parents didn't really have that relationship with me. I kind of had to, work it out on my own, right? Which is not the best way to do things, obviously, but it is what it is. For me personally, though, playing an M-rated game felt like this big next step. But when I played the M-rated game, I realized it wasn't really that different from Vigilante 8 or from 007 Nightfire or whatever. Like there was still death and like half naked women in some of these games and stuff like that. Like GTA, especially, like GTA 4 was one of the first ones that I played too. And it's like, well, I can see a naked woman in 007 Nightfire by using that little sniper rifle glitch. Like there's really not much different here. So for me, it was more of like a natural transition where it's like, okay, like, sure, maybe there's a bit more blood splatter or a bit more swear words used, but it's something that I wasn't used to. I mean, by the time that I was like 15 years old, I was already swearing like a sailor. Once you learn how to swear, it's like the gates are opened, right? I was in elementary school, I think it was like 6th grade, and all of a sudden, like, I started learning like ass and bitch and fuck and shit, and it's like, oh, you're using them all over the place when you can. So it's one of those things where it's like it didn't really affect me because I had already been enshrined or ingrained in this like idea of swearing and blood and guts and whatever. And my parents did buy me Halo back in the day. They talked it over, and because a lot of my friends were playing it at the time, they were like, well, we know that's like an older game. Like the M rating probably isn't really applicable, because it's Halo. And my dad had actually played a bit of it before I started playing it. He was like, yep, it's fine. Now, did they know about the whole multiplayer angle of it? Probably not. But I never really got into like super crazy conversations with people online. It was really just like within my clan, my friend's clan, and that was it. Like I was pretty safe online, all things considered, even though I wasn't really trying to be. It just kind of naturally happened that way. The same thing with like the original Call of Duty when I played that on PC. Like I was talking to whoever was on there, and I was adding people to Xfire, if you remember that, or what was the other one, GameSpy or something like that. But Xfire was the big one for me, and I was adding people in Xfire and talking to people in Xfire. And my parents didn't know anything about that. They didn't know who I was talking to. I didn't know who I was talking to. I just knew that they were friendly and on Call of Duty. So, it's like, could I have been talking to a pedophile back in the day? Maybe, but it never got that far. And honestly, if one of these random people who I added and was talking to was like, hey, call me, or hey, email me, or whatever, I probably would have been like, hold on there, bucko. Because it's just one of those things where it just would have weirded me out. Now, a lot of kids, they're just not educated in that stuff, and especially with how young kids are playing games now. Like, you have a 6-year-old playing, Minecraft or whatever. They're going to be naive to this stuff. They're not going to know anything about this stuff, so they could easily be brought in by a creeper or whatever and talked to in a weird way, and they could just think that it's natural. There's nothing wrong about this. We're just having a conversation. Why is he talking? No. Yeah. I just it's an interesting but disturbing hole to go down, and hopefully with this lawsuit going on, Roblox and Discord will take extra measures to think about the safety of the younger audience playing their games, because even though they rate Roblox a T-rated game, they know that there's a lot of young kids playing that game below 13, and a lot of those young kids are susceptible to these schemes and predatory tactics, and it's not good. It's not good at all. So I've really never thought about Roblox. I don't really play Roblox. Like, I've talked about it a couple times here and there, but I'm not like big. I've never been interested in playing Roblox. But from what I heard about it, it's a really nice tool to get into game creation. A lot of younger kids who are, they play Roblox and they go, oh, this is a really cool concept that they've made inside of Roblox. You can actually design a game inside of Roblox, and there's a lot of games nowadays that started out as a Roblox game. I think that I don't think it was Five Nights at Freddy's, but there's another like horror-esque game that started out as like a Roblox mini game, right? And it got turned into something more. So these kids are getting these tools very early on, practically for free, and they can make a game maybe, or try and design something. And not all of them are good, obviously, but I think it's a cool idea. And along with Minecraft as well, the creativity can be abound. It's endless. So these are good tools and good things for kids, in my opinion, but they're a bit unsafe, especially with how I've learned about Roblox here recently. So I'll keep you updated on that if anything comes up. But as of right now, Roblox being sued, and we'll see what happens. All right, for people who are on the Nintendo Switch 2 and they are expecting Microsoft to bring Call of Duty over to the Switch 2, we don't have a lot of indications that it will be coming day one. Now, it may come at a later date because they probably need to downgrade some stuff for the Switch 2 version, even though the Switch 2 is a great console. Obviously, it does have some limitations that the newer generation of PCs don't have. But in a report from Bill Kuhn, who is pretty close to the whole Nintendo universe, right? He actually was very close to all the announcements and releases and stuff like that. He kind of uncovered that there is no Switch 2 version at this time, and that Microsoft might have one at a later date, but it might be next year, whenever. So in a quote, he said, "We can confirm that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will not be available on Switch 2 when it launches this year. However, it remains unclear whether Activision plans a future port to the new console." So this is a interesting thing, because when Microsoft was buying Activision Blizzard, one of the stipulations that they talked about was the fact that Call of Duty will need to release on every single console, not just Xbox or PlayStation, and they even specifically quoted Nintendo Switch. Now, obviously, they didn't know that there was going to be a Switch 2 this year, but that doesn't matter. Like, when you make a promise, definitely when you make a promise to a court, you should probably follow through on that promise. Now, I don't have any worries that they won't bring the game to the Switch eventually, but I think that it's a bit telling that after this whole acquisition went through and they went through all the courts and all the whatevers, the fact that we didn't get Black Ops 6 on the Switch 1 was a bit concerning, because that was the first Black Ops with Activision under the Microsoft banner. And now Black Ops 7, they're not planning on doing a Switch 2 version. It's a bit sus to me. I think that they're going to get into some hot water if they don't follow through on these promises. Now, there's a lot of promises that Microsoft has made that they haven't exactly gone through with. One of them being, we want to bring Guitar Hero back. They haven't done that yet. But the other major promise was bringing games to multiple platforms, including Call of Duty, because the court knew that Call of Duty was one of the biggest selling games of all time, and to have only Microsoft be able to play like an Xbox console be able to play Black Ops or Call of Duty would have been a big blow to the rest of the gaming landscape. Now, obviously, Battlefield 6 is coming out and actually has better numbers than Black Ops right now, which is pretty crazy. And people are expecting Black Ops 7 to get a hit and not sell as well because Battlefield 6 is coming out. But Microsoft and Activision don't seem too worried because they're going to release Black Ops 7. They're going to be releasing Black Ops 7 on November 14th, which is only a month later than Battlefield 6. So they're pretty confident in their game. I mean, I'll be playing the game as long as it's on Game Pass. You know, I don't think I would ever spend $70 on a Call of Duty game at this point. Even if I do still enjoy them, you know, I just, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I just don't want to pay that price for a game that maybe could possibly not be fun. I've been burned on Vanguard and whatever in the past. Like, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to be part of that number base of like, oh, well, you know, Modern Warfare 3, even though it was like one of the worst reviewed Call of Duties of all time, it still sold over 10 million copies. I don't want to be a part of that anymore. But playing the game on Game Pass allows you to get it with no extra cost. And of course, it's good for gamers. And as I said before, not great for Microsoft because they lose a lot of money in that sense. But so Black Ops 7 supposedly not releasing on Switch 2 day one, which is kind of controversial in my opinion, but also releasing only a month after Battlefield 6 on November 14th. I'm sure there'll be like an early edition of the game or whatever, but we'll wait to hear more about that. Maybe at the Gamescom opening night, we'll maybe get a trailer for Black Ops 7 and we'll reveal like, oh yes, we are bringing it to Switch 2. My idea was pretty sound, where they make two versions of Black Ops 7, where one version is a Switch 2 version, and it's like a slimmed down, like kind of like like Call of Duty Big Red 1 or Finest Hour for like the older generation. I felt like that might have been a fun way to do it, but they're not going to do that. They're going to try and do the same game on the next console. And we saw that before with Black Ops 3, where there's two versions of Black Ops 3. One was the Xbox 360 version, which only had multiplayer and like a washed out, like fuzzy looking game. And then there was also the next gen version, which had multiplayer, campaign, and zombies attached to it. So there was definitely a big difference there. But I haven't really seen that since. That's like the last unique game on a different console, other than like PSP or whatever. But I don't, you know, those are older. So yeah, there you go. There you go. Crimson Desert has been delayed to 2026, quarter one of 2026. There's no official release dates yet, but they were planning on releasing the game at quarter two of 2025, which quarter two is practically over if you don't know. It pretty much ends like around September-ish, right? That's like quarter three. So they've decided to push it back to 2026. They said in a announcement, they said, "We sincerely apologize for not being able to meet the originally promised fourth quarter launch schedule," the studio continued. "Please kindly understand that this is a strategic decision aimed at ensuring success on a meaningful scale. The release date has not been internally confirmed for quarter one of 2026. However, given the change in launch timing, we will announce the date at a more appropriate time based on business considerations, rather than making an announcement at Gamescom next week. We are grateful for your continued interest in our company, and we will do our utmost to deliver an even better experience going forward." So it sounds like they're just going to work on it a bit more before it comes out. I mean, this is a very ambitious open world game, massive open world game, beautiful graphics to it. I mean, any gameplay that you've seen of this game, just it's a very high level and highly detailed experience. And I think this is one of the more anticipated games going into 2026 now, of course. But it just seems like they put in a lot of work into the finer details of this, and the combat looks very interesting as well, like a very melee strong kind of game where you do a lot of grapple moves and stuff like that. Like any gameplay that you watch, it's kind of mesmerizing. It kind of locks you on and makes you go, wow, this is kind of crazy. So yeah, we'll see more about this. Maybe they'll show off a trailer at Gamescom, just to kind of get people more hyped, and we'll see when the official release date is eventually down the road. All right, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has confirmed that it's ending its support for the PS4 and Xbox One on the 13th of November 2025. Anyone who purchased the game will get a refund on their place of choice. So if you have it on PlayStation or Xbox, you'll be able to get a refund for that. They did not say if you could get a refund for any of the in-game purchases, but you will get a refund for the game itself, which is at least nice. There is a new update for the PS5 and Xbox Series X that is coming out on the same day, on November 13th, which is going to run the game at 60 FPS, 140p resolution. On the PS5 Pro, it'll also run at 2160p and 60 FPS as well. The supported specifications for current gen consoles were determined through extensive technical review and internal testing to ensure that the most stabilized and optimized PUBG console gameplay experience as possible. So I guess they're just leaving the older versions of the game in the dust. Now, I don't know if it's because player count is low on those games, or if they just don't they are pushing this update out and they don't want to have to deal with any of the things that would affect the older versions of the game. Because like someone running the game at 1440p, I mean, they're going to have a bit of a leg up on someone running at like a 1080 or even a 720 on PS4 or Xbox One, just through detail and stuff like that. So maybe that's why they're deciding to stop working on the PS4 and Xbox One version of the game. I don't know. But the main thing is that they have decided to close that down and refund people. So this is another one of those games where it's like it has a physical edition. It's not being delisted, I guess, per se. I mean, obviously it's being taken down. But copies of the game probably won't skyrocket like they did for John Wick Hex. So if you own a PS4 or Xbox One physical copy of the game, maybe hold on to that. I mean, it's not going to work when you put it into your console, so it's not like it's going to be that big of a gold mine, but might be a fun thing to have in your collection. And the game might go up a little bit based off of it just being delisted or a non-functioning game anymore. The same thing, I mean, with John Wick Hex, at least you could still play the single player. I mean, I guess there's only single player with that, but that skyrocketed in sales for the physical edition because one, it was a limited release, and two, was a digital only game on most platforms except for like PlayStation 4. So there's definitely some more credibility to why that game exploded when it went offline. But as for like PUBG, Concord, Project Cars, there's another game that shut down recently that was online only. Anthem is shutting down. Like, I don't think these games are going to increase in price. Their physical versions are going to increase in price. I think they'll stay relatively cheap. And maybe PUBG will go up in price a little bit after its delisting on the PS4 and Xbox One, but it probably won't stay that way. I don't think it'll sell. But anyway, if you own the game on PS4 or Xbox One, you'll have until November 13th to play it. On that day, the servers will go down and never come back up. Finally, for the news today, Capcom is going to give a 90-minute presentation at New York Comic-Con in October. There will be updates for PS5 and Xbox games coming soon, of course, PC games as well. It'll start around 4 o'clock Pacific time, 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern time. In the UK, it'll start around 11:45 p.m. In Asian time, it'll start the next day around 7:45 a.m. So if you're not in the Americas, it's going to be a bit of a late night for you. But they are planning on showing off games that are coming soon, like Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, Onimusha, Way of the Sword, and people are very much expecting updates on Street Fighter 6 and Monster Hunter Wilds as well. People are also expecting the Devil May Cry anime to be shown off or maybe teased, along with something Mega Man as well, which is a bit more of a hope, but we'll see. The venue is New York Comic Con, so people are expecting maybe a comic book or manga associated with a Capcom IP. That could be kind of cool as well. It's a 90-minute showcase, a presentation, so there's going to be a lot shown off here. I'm interested to see the next Resident Evil's gameplay, some more gameplay for that. I'm also very interested in more gameplay for Pragmata. I think that looks really good so far. And Onimusha, I read the article in the a recent Game Informer. They did a great job of like talking about it. They apparently had a bit of a, not a hands-on experience, but they had they could watch like unedited like 30-minute gameplay footage, and they were like, yeah, it looks good. So I'm actually a bit more excited about Onimusha now than I was before, even though I was already excited about it for sure. But yeah, so Capcom Presents. That'll be actually, did I say the day? The October 10th. It'll be on October 10th around 3:45, 4 o'clock Pacific time, 6:45, 7 o'clock Eastern time. So there you go. Check that out if you so desire. Let's go ahead and move on to what's coming soon. Okay, Neo Berlin 2087 had some new gameplay showed off. Not much. It was about a 2-minute video. But what they did show off was kind of interesting. I think that this game is really pushing the boundaries of like facial animations and graphical capabilities, especially in these cutscenes, because the cutscenes look very good. Like they obviously, I can still recognize that it's a video game. It's not like that uncanny or that realistic, but they did a great job of really polishing at least the trailer, this gameplay footage and the footage of the characters talking. I think they did a great job with that. Now, where the game is kind of starting to be a bit wobbly for me is this gameplay that they've been showing off has not been the most exciting shit ever. It looks like a pretty mundane first-person shooter in all honesty. Now, it seems like they do have like the Deus Ex kind of hacking and maybe abilities in there where you can have like a force field around you and stuff like that. There's also like a diving mechanic a la Max Payne style, which could be kind of fun to use. But they also showed off like there's like these zombie enemies in there, which is like, wow, we really doing zombies in the year of 2025 as like the twist in a game? Like, I don't get that. They also showed like the stealth doesn't really look that fun either. Like, I don't really know. Like, I think this is going to be a game that is going to be a bit mixed when it comes out. I just feel like it's going to be like a very good like showcase of graphics and stuff like that, maybe even acting. But the gameplay, I feel like, is probably going to fall a bit short, especially if it's a longer 20-hour experience. Like, how much are they really going to cram into this one? And what they've shown off has been flashy, for sure. Like, you know, lots of flares and all that. A lot of flare in there. But I'm just, like, not totally sold on this one yet. But maybe once we see, like, unedited, like, unfiltered, long gameplay of it, maybe then I'll be a bit more excited about it. But as of right now, I will leave it with this. The press release says, uncover a deep, narrative-driven story through never-before-seen gameplay, new levels, cinematic cutscenes, and intense combat. Meet new characters, Brian and Phoenix, in this action-packed Gamescom 2025 reveal. So it sounds like they'll be revealing more at Gamescom when that's out. Also, Jurassic Park Survival had a bit of a behind-the-scenes featurette, they're calling it. You can check this out on the Jurassic Park Survival YouTube channel. It wasn't a lot of gameplay. It was pretty much just an interview with the different developers of the game. And they talked about how they were working on making, you know, the graphics super good and whatever. They showed the layering and all that stuff of the animations and stuff like that. And I mean, just from a base like perspective here, the game looks impressive graphically, at least from what they showed off. Especially when they show like the there's that one like dinosaur that has like the spit and whatever. Like that looks really good close up. It seems like the game is going to be based around the original Jurassic Park. You'll be a character who gets left behind, and you have to go through all these iconic locations. They did a lot of mocap for the main actress in the game, who I don't know the name of the character in the game right now, but I mean, you know, it's all very impressive, of course. It looks pretty impressive. And, of course, they're taking a lot of inspiration from the movie and from the, you know, just the classic cinematic shots from that as well. So yeah, I don't believe this has a release date yet. I think it's like coming 2026 or something like that. But yeah, I eagerly wait on the edge of my seat. We haven't had a good Jurassic Park game in quite some time. I don't think we've ever really had a good Jurassic Park game other than like the Jurassic Evolution games that are like park management type things. But yeah. I think that'll be pretty cool. So, Jurassic Park Survival, looking pretty good, and it's a featurette. We'll wait to see more about that. Bubsy, he's back, baby. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. The new Bubsy in the Perfect Collection, that is going to be releasing September 9th digitally, and you can actually pre-order the physical edition right now if you want to, from Limited Run Games, of course. This will include 4 Bubsy games in one collection. Now, of being a limited run game, if you get the physical version of it, it'll take a little bit longer than you expect to get to you. But pre-orders will be open from August 15th through October 12th if you want to pre-order any edition of the game. And then I believe they said shipping would be sometime later in the year or next year, which is kind of unfortunate because I kind of want to play this sooner rather than later. I mean, like Bubsy has, like, the first game is good, right? I played that with Callus. We did a little bit of a speed run competition thing there. That was good. Bubsy 2, kind of a mixed bag. Random bullshit everywhere. I never played Bubsy 3D or the other game that's in the list, but those ones have a pretty dour reputation. Now, the continuous runner game that came out was okay. Like, I felt like that was okay, but we haven't seen Bubsy again since then. So what games are included in here? So we got Bubsy in Claws Encountered of the Furred Kind. They're going to include the Genesis, Super Nintendo system, and Super Famicom versions. Bubsy 2, the Game Boy, Genesis, Super Nintendo Entertainment System versions as well. Bubsy in Fractured Furry Tales, which only released on the Jaguar, which will be an interesting one to play. And then, of course, Bubsy 3D, which only released on the PlayStation 1. That'll be in the collection as well. So I believe those are the only 4 games in there. If you want to pre-order it now, it's for $34 plus shipping. And there are 2 different editions of the game. There's a deluxe edition and a impossible edition. The deluxe edition comes with your choice of what platform: PC, Xbox, PlayStation, or Switch. There will be an instruction booklet included in each of them. There's a 2-sided poster, the original 1-disc soundtrack, and a PVC keychain of Bubsy's face. Or if you get the Impossible edition, it comes with all of that, plus a Gold X Award keychain, a low-poly Bubsy 3D figure, a spinning ball of yarn pin, a hardcover museum art and design book, and an individually numbered certified of a certificate of authenticity. So a little bit of extra stuff included in there. The deluxe edition is a pretty pricey one. I mean, it's not pricey, but it's like $60 for the deluxe edition. I think it's like $140 for the Impossible edition. So choose whatever edition you want. But yeah, Bubsy, it's coming back September 9th, and you can pre-order the physical edition today if you so desire, or you can play it on these relative consoles, PC and all that, when the game releases digitally on September 9th. All right, the Fast and Furious arcade game is coming to consoles: PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and more. There is a physical edition coming to both Switch and PlayStation 5 as well. Now, if you don't know what this is, Fast and Furious Arcade Edition is the physical arcade game put onto the console. So I believe that the arcade game is like it's just like a driver game, right? It's kind of like Cruisin' whatever. And funny enough, this game is actually made by the same people who did Cruisin' Blast, which I thought was a pretty good time. Now, this is being published by Game Mill, and Game Mill has a very bad reputation, especially with its releases last year. You can look them up if you want to. Really, the only good game from Game Mill recently was that NASCAR game, which was a pretty basic racing game, all things considered. But because this Fast and Furious Arcade Edition game is by the same people who did Cruisin' Blast, I have a bit more faith in them for this one. Now, will I be picking this one up? Probably. I love getting these goofy, kind of like garbage tier games and trying them out. I mean, this one doesn't look that bad in my opinion. Does it look amazing? No, but it does look pretty fun. I mean, it's a fast-paced racing game. It doesn't really include anything Fast and Furious per se. I don't think they even include any of the characters or anything like that. But they have some vignettes of moments from the movies. There's a helicopter with a safe behind it, or there's a big jump shot of a submarine. And there are some cars from the movies that you might recognize, like Dom's fucking Sexmobile. Yeah, it's a Fast and Furious racing game. You get bottom shit tier for these movie tie-ins nowadays. This is going to be coming out October 24th if you want to check that out. Power Wash Simulator 2 revealed its price tag, and you will be surprised. It is only $24.99, which I feel like is a very fair and honorable price for this game. they could easily price this at $60, and no one would really bat an eye because the original Power Wash Simulator was so successful. I mean, it was, and with how many updates they gave Power Wash Simulator over the years, like, I just feel like they could easily have sold this for a higher price, but they are sticking with the $24.99 price tag, or £19.99, and I feel like that is very honorable of them, honestly. In a statement from the Chief Operating Officer, Chris Mahers, he said, "We're in a fortunate position because of the success of Power Wash Simulator and its passionate community to keep the price of our sequel as accessible as possible. There are so many personal anecdotes of how the game has helped our players, and we want to ensure we would continue to widely offer the experience at a competitive price point. I feel like the game will easily sell for $24.99. With that price tag, I'll even pick it up, digital or whatever. I'll pick that shit up. That you're going to be getting more than you pay for as well, because there's so many free updates for Power Wash Simulator 1. There's all these fun DLCs for Power Wash Simulator 1. Like, you're good. It's the game that kind of keeps on giving. So whether you like super enjoy the gameplay of the original Power Wash Simulator or not, you cannot deny that this is a very fair and good price point for this game, and it could have easily been higher priced than what it is. I know Maz has been talking about it on his indie game podcast, the Indie Hangout podcast, a lot about pricing of video games and stuff like that. And to see a game of this caliber coming out at a $24.99 price tag just puts a real big smile on my face. Definitely check this out if you so desire. The game will be launching in 2025 at some point. They have not officially announced the release date yet, but you can wishlist it now. All right, Helldivers 2 has teased Halo 3 ODST content for the game. The game recently came over the Xbox platforms, and now we're already getting something Xbox themed. Now, the real story here, though, is that this ODST content will be available on PlayStation as well. So in this teaser trailer, they showed the city of ODST with the ODST soundtrack playing in the background, meaning that we'll probably get a new, maybe special event, or maybe even, like, how crazy would it be if they added Covenant forces into Helldivers 2? I'm just saying, that would be like everyone's brains would melt and we would all just fall over dead. Like, if they add the Covenant to this game, that would be 100% incredible. Will they do that? I don't think so. But if we get some ODST themed stuff in this game, that would be a cool thing for them to do. It'll probably be one of those war bond things that you have to earn, of course. But would that bring me back to the game, having ODST content in the game? Maybe. But I think the real thing, if they did show off like Halo grunts and arbiters and whatever being enemies in the game, elites being in the game, that would be fucking awesome. And I think that would really bring a lot of people back to the game who have maybe stopped playing it just because it's like, well, it's kind of run its course, right? So, pretty freaking crazy. They're doing a new season right now called Bring the Boom, and I'm guessing Halo 3 ODST will be a major part of that, or at least a part of that new update. So we will find out what happens in the future, but as of right now, some hopeful thoughts in there. But I think just having like an armor set and maybe some themed guns around Halo ODST will be good enough for right now, and we'll see what they do in the future. All right, the next GameCube game has been announced, and it is Chibi Robo. That's right, I freaking love Chibi Robo. I originally got this game back in the day when I was a kid. I had a GameCube, and my dad was like, "Are you really gonna get this robot game? Like, I don't think you're gonna like this game." And I played it, and I fell in love with this little character. Now, obviously, Chibi Robo has had a bit of a rocky lifespan. He's had a couple of stinkers in his gaming repertoire. But this original Chibi Robo game, I feel like it's a bit of a bit of a hidden gem in the GameCube landscape. And obviously, the game is pretty pricey, so people know that's a bit of a hidden gem because it didn't sell too well when it came out originally. But a lot of people find this game very fun, including myself. I very much enjoyed my time with this game. Like, it's a little robot in this big house, and it's almost like that one level in Pikmin 4, right? But you kind of go around, you clean things up, you help the family with their problems, and then
wider story starts to emerge. So this is coming August 21st to the Switch. And you bet your bottom I will be playing this game. I love Chibi Robo. I love it so fucking much. So yeah, if you have the Switch Online expansion pack service, that is the next GameCube game. And they've had a good track record now. Like Mario Strikers last month, Chibi Robo this month. Like, what's next? Mario Sunshine? Luigi's Mansion? I can't wait to find out. And I do hope that they keep this up for the rest of the year and into next year. I mean, I don't mind a not yearly, but monthly GameCube game release, and I hope they keep going with it. I really fucking do. I love these. Like, the GameCube was a big part of my childhood. I played a lot of games on that thing. I originally had an N64, and then I upgraded into the GameCube once that was cheap enough for my family to buy, and I loved it ever since. So Chibi Robo 1 was one of those main stays in my gaming library until I got a Wii. So there you go. Another regret in life is selling all of my GameCube games because those things are fucking expensive now. All right, here are your PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium tier games for August 2025. These will be available August 19th to download and play. In the extra tier, we got Mortal Kombat 1, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, Marvel's Spider-Man, Sword of the Sea, Earth Defense Force 6, Unicorn Overlord, Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End and Secret Key, Indica, Harold Halibut, and Coral Island. Some good games in here. Marvel Spider-Man Remastered and Marvel Spider-Man, Sword of the Sea, that's a brand new game. I think Unicorn Overlord was pretty well received. Indica is like a really interesting horror game. Harold Halibut is a okay 2D experience. And then there's some premium games here. You're getting Resident Evil 2, the PS1 version, and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the PS1 version as well. Those are pretty big gets, Resident Evil games. That's pretty cool. So yeah, if you want to check any of those out, they'll be available August 19th on the services or for purchase if you so desire. And then finally, here are some games leaving the PlayStation Plus service on August 19th as well. EA Sports UFC 5, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Wild Hearts, Ride 5, Sword Art Online Last Recollection, Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, Sword Art Online, Alicization Like Horse Race, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, Sword Art Online Hollow Realization, and Sword Art Online Lost Song, along with Vacation Simulator and Bugsnax. Oh, why are they taking Bugsnax off of here? If there's one game in this entire list I think you should play, it's Bugsnax. Bugsnax is fantastic. Also, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, pretty good. Witcher 3, of course. Callus said that he was going to do a full playthrough of all the Sword Art Online content, all the games. So he's kind of slacking. I mean, with these games leaving the platform right now, he's going to be really behind. So he should probably get going on that. But yeah, if you want to play any of those games, make sure you check them out before August 19th when those all leave the service. They also revealed, I don't know why it wasn't in the PlayStation Plus Premium tier section, but there's a game demo available for Death Stranding 2 as well with the PlayStation Plus Extra update. So check that out if you so desire. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening and or watching to this episode. Let's go ahead and do the final part of the show, which is Guess That Song. If you know the name of the song and the game that it came from, I will give you a heart in the comments below and a congratulations. Or in the Discord, come over to Discord and talk in the Fair 64 section and say this is the game name this is the song name of the game that came from, and I'll give you a super reaction, and you'll get the admiration of your peers. Let's go ahead and listen to today's song right now.
God only knows what I'd be without you. Do 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 do.
Alrighty. If you know the name of the song and the game it came from, let me know in the places that I told you to. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. Really do appreciate that. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if you want to give it a like, a comment, anything like that, I would very much appreciate that, especially if you enjoyed the show. Also, I do Film Freaks with a Z at the end. We talk about movies. The most recent episode is about The Breakfast Club. The next episode is a big one, and that is going to be about Happy Gilmore 1 and 2. We did a double feature for episode 150, so make sure you check that out as well. New episodes of of Fubar Ferrets come out monthly. There should be a new episode at the end or beginning of this month. And also, I'm back at the Ferret Football YouTube channel doing Cleveland Browns recaps, Browns game recaps. So if you want to check those out, there's 2 of those episodes available right now. The most recent one about the Eagles versus the Browns. Woohoo! All right, folks, have a great rest of your day and or week. I will talk at you next week. So long.
The Ferret 64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. Small sound clips used throughout the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. The song in the intro and outro is Nightshade by Adhesive Wombat. The Ferret 64 logo was made by Player2P2. News sources include PushSquare.com, NintendoLife.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions, video game related, are my own. Thank you for listening.